The evening began like any other, calm, predictable, wrapped in the kind of stillness that makes the world feel steady and safe. But with just a few words, Anna managed to upend all of that. We were finishing dinner when she brought it up again. The idea of a swingers party. She had joked about it before, and I'd laughed it off, assuming she wasn't serious. This time, though, there was no trace of teasing in her voice. She spoke carefully, her tone light but edged with something intentional, like she was testing how far she could push. "I think it could be exciting," she said, watching me closely. I set my fork down, studying her face, hoping for a hint of a smile, a laugh, anything to tell me she wasn't serious. "Anna," I began slowly, "I don't think this is a good idea." I leaned in, trying to keep my voice steady. "We've built so much together. Our marriage, our home, our life. I don't want to risk that." She chuckled softly, waving her hand. "You're overreacting. It's just a party. People do it all the time. It's harmless fun." Her words hit harder than she realized. For weeks, I'd sensed something different about her, subtle changes that I couldn't quite name. More time in front of the mirror, less interest in our conversations, a distance in her eyes that hadn't been there before. The woman sitting across from me felt unfamiliar, like a stranger wearing my wife's face. Her suggestion only confirmed what I had been too afraid to admit. "Why now?" I asked quietly. "Why does this matter so much all of a sudden?" She placed her wineglass down, the sound sharp against the table. "I just want to try something new," she said, her tone firm. "I don't see why it has to be such a big deal." "It is a big deal," I said, trying to keep my composure. "You're asking me to gamble everything we've built together." Her gaze hardened. "I'm not throwing anything away," she replied. "I just want to make things more exciting." The air between us thickened. I wanted to keep talking, to make her understand what she was putting at risk. But deep down, I could see that her decision was already made. That night, she left. I stayed behind, the television flickering in the background though I couldn't say what was on. When she appeared in the doorway, dressed in a way that made my chest ache, I realized how far she had already gone from me. She looked beautiful, but not for me. "Trust me," she said softly, avoiding my eyes as she slipped on her coat. "It's just for fun." I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that everything between us was still repairable. But when the door closed behind her, the silence that filled the house was crushing. I paced the rooms for hours, trying to breathe through the emptiness she left behind. I found myself replaying our conversations, trying to pinpoint the exact moment we began to drift apart, the moment I stopped being enough for her. By the time the clock struck 3 a.m., something inside me had changed irrevocably. When Anna finally came home, she wasn't glowing or carefree like I'd imagined she would be. Instead, there was a quiet emptiness about her, a heaviness in her eyes that made my chest tighten. Her gaze landed on the folder sitting on the coffee table, the divorce papers I'd filled out earlier that night. "What is this?" she asked, her voice breaking as she flipped through the pages, her hands shaking. "I told you," I said softly. "This isn't just about tonight. It's about everything. The distance between us, the half-truths, the slow unraveling. I can't keep pretending we're okay." She sank onto the couch, gripping the papers like they were scorching her palms. "Please," she whispered, tears spilling down her face. "I didn't mean for it to come to this. I never thought it would." Her remorse sounded genuine, but it couldn't undo the months, maybe years, of damage. I sat beside her, my heart aching, yet my decision was unshakable. "It's over, Anna," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I've tried. I really have. But I can't live like this anymore." She reached for me, crying, repeating "I'm sorry" again and again, as though the words could pull us back to before everything broke. But the distance between us had become a canyon. The trust shattered, the love worn thin. As her sobs filled the room, I felt the raw sting of loss, not just for her, but for the life we'd built and were now watching collapse. Ending it felt like tearing out a part of myself, but deep down I knew there was no other way. The story we'd written together had reached its final page. All that remained was the silence, and the long, lonely road ahead.